Hello and good evening. Welcome back to the AfriCanadian Resource Centre. And today we are going to bring you, we're doing a throwback today, Throwback Thursday. We're going to show you some of the programs, some of the interviews, some of the communities we're able to talk to over the last, I believe we've been running this program since, did we start on September 14th? So we've been at it for almost a month now. So we are bringing you some of the interviews that we had with some of the leaders in the community, looking back at what we had. And for those of you who were not able to follow us from the beginning, so you can catch up and also know some of the things that we talked about over the course of the last almost month that we have been running. As we told you, this program is going to be running for the next 3 months. Sorry, for 3 months. So we have about 2 more months to go. And then we hope to continue bringing you some of these when we can, of course, beyond the 2 months that are remaining. But also, we will have a platform that we are actually been developing that is in works right now that will allow African Canadians and other Canadians to come to the platform and learn more about the community, learn more about the resource, learn about research, learn more about what are the activities that are available throughout the community. This is what we wanted to start doing when we talk to people, to see if you can actually learn something by talking to an individual, by having, it's an access, it's more of an access to, it's like a door that opens up for you to actually learn more about each of the communities of the 55 communities that we hope to reach over the next 2 months. So tonight is going to be a look back at some of those. And then of course, next week as we come back, even tomorrow, we're going to bring you the coverage direct. I believe tomorrow we are covering the FOA, which is the Friends of Africa by CASA Foundation. Is an organization that is led by Dr. Olu, who is from the Nigerian community here in Toronto. But of course, the members who are going to be available through that platform are pretty much from everywhere in Africa. So this is one that we want you to definitely follow. And we're going to be covering it for you tomorrow. Make sure to join us at 6. But even before that, make sure to join CASA Foundation because the program is going to be starting around 2:30 tomorrow. So before we go back and look back at some of the things that we've covered throughout the last month, we wanted to give you a bit of news and to show you what's available, what's going on in the community here in Toronto, in Ontario, and if anything, if we have anything for Canada as well, we'll cover that. Anyways, so today, Ontario reported 797 new cases of COVID-19. This is today on Thursday. A single-day record high for the province. Oh my God, this is new. This is new even for me. I didn't really look at this before. Oh man, we are not going anywhere with this pandemic. But again, this is just something we have to, I guess. I was talking about to somebody yesterday, talking about the new norm. I'm really trying not to believe it, but looking at these numbers, we don't have a choice but to really protect and be safe and take all the measures that we are being asked to do. Anyways, they're saying that along with the new record numbers of the new cases, the province said that it's completed 48,488 new tests in the last 24 hours, which is also a record high. Bravo for that, making sure that we check everybody, making sure everybody's safe. But man, oh man, we have not come out of this at all yet. Anyways, the test backlog now sits at just over 58,000. That is the number that we're being given today. Anyways, so I'll come back to some of the news, but so far today this is horrible. We are sort of looking back at these are much higher numbers than what we had even when COVID was at its worst during the early months. So we really pray that this thing goes away as soon as it can. Anyways, let's go for a commercial and we'll look back at some of the conversations. And we're actually going to talk about, the first video we're bringing you is we're going to be looking at what the members of the community told us about COVID. But before we do that, we're going to go for a commercial and we'll come back and I'll read you today's video.
A message from the Government of Canada.
Welcome back, and as I promised before the break, we are going to go right now and hear from some of the members of the community who talked to us about the effects of COVID, how COVID has affected them during this, obviously, pandemic. And you will hear from them. And also, I mean, we keep beating this drum as far as like, what are we learning from the community? But this is what we learned from some of the members that we spoke to so far.
I mean, COVID hasn't really discriminated against anybody. And so on an organizational level, we were able to get a partnership with the Red Cross to secure funding and provide free PPE for the community. During COVID, I mean, it was really incredible to see like a lot of youth stepping up. There was a group of young adults who came together and started a solidarity fund where they were able to raise over $40,000 and then reallocate those funds to people in the community in need, which was massive. We've had our community partners in Art and Health do a food box program where they delivered culturally specific foods to the community for over a month. Created employment opportunities. So on a community-based level, it was really powerful to see, especially the new generation, young adults coming in, stepping up and taking responsibility.
My other question is, what do you think other businesses like yours in the not just in the African community, but I guess I'm biased because I'm more focused on the African community, but what do you think is their advice for other organizations and businesses like yours to survive these and see the other side of COVID?
I think there's only one way for all of us. I mean, COVID came, no one planned it, it just happened. So you have to cope with it. You have to adapt and quick. It's not time to cry or this is what we do. You know what I mean? If I close the plateau today, I have to go and look for a 9-to-5, a job again.
And you don't want to do that.
Which is a no-no.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to adapt. We have to work hard and trying to fit in because everyone is doing it. Don't sit down and start complaining and blaming. Adapt.
Thank Tammy and Jonathan for those insights. Obviously, for Jonathan, it was more about the opportunity to help the community through the funds that the government has been providing. And we are really preaching that because we know the government, especially the current government, has been helping. There is a lot of available funds for individuals. Obviously, we know SAB, we know the EI that has been extended. If you don't know any of these things, one of the things we also ask is reach out to us. We are on the ground. Some of these informations we might have that you don't have. There is a lot of resources that are available, whether you're a non-for-profit, a business, or an individual. And we really want you to reach out to us. Reach out to anybody in the community, not necessarily the African community. You can reach out to the social services. You can reach out to anybody. Just make sure that if you're going through any hardship, if you have any challenges that's happening where you can't cope, or if you're just looking for an opportunity to build, to develop, trust me, reach out. There is available resources. And where they are not, we can always find a way to find somebody to help out. There is always opportunities to move forward. But anyways, and by the way, this is what we're gonna bridge back to on our next video, because the next person I'm gonna talk to was telling us what's available in terms of resources. And that is actually, this is our chairman, Mr. Moses Gashirabake, who talked to us also, I believe, about a couple of weeks ago. When we talked about many different things about our organization. We talked about the non-for-profit work that is being done throughout, the resources that are available. But anyways, let's hear from him, and we'll come back to you on the other side of this. Moses, my last question for you as we have running out of time. So in terms of the work that's being done in the community, maybe focus on us as an organization. Where do you see us going in the next, let's say in the next year, based on the challenges we're facing through the COVID-19, but also maybe put it all together in terms of the challenges we've always faced as a Black organization. where do you see us going in the next year or so?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kizito. I think in the next couple of years, despite the challenges we've had with capacity and capacity in terms of funding streams, but thankfully, we've worked on project number one with the government of Canada through Canadian Heritage, and now the second project that's looking at the emergencies that community organizations are facing, where we're now developing the AfriCanadian Resource Centre. And now I think the phase that we're going through will essentially be recovery, but also looking at eventually creating a physical space. So a center that could either be housed in Toronto, or housed in Ottawa, Gatineau, or housed even in Montreal, or even in all of those cities in Western Canada. So we're looking to be able to hopefully expand, build more capacity, and bring on more diverse voices, strengthen our governance structures, and hopefully even have permanent staff. I think that's where the future lies, and with commitment, working extremely hard, and ensuring that we have a system, a strong system that works. I think the sky is the limit. I looked where we began from a few years ago with $0. Our organization started essentially with a walk from Toronto to Montreal. That's for me. That's the conception of the formal organization began from. Even though maybe the organization started way before, during the journey that we went through, fighting PTSD, fighting mental health, and now I think we're in motion. And that commitment and continuing to strengthen our capacity and our ability to deliver more services to our communities, I think is crucial. And I'm looking forward to the day when we will be opening our center, a home where people can come and find resources that are going to help them heal. Most African Canadian communities have gone through tremendous trauma, and I think now we need a dedicated service that's going to look at our problems in a customized way. Because mental health, unfortunately, there are many resources available through the Canadian Mental Health Commission, Health Canada, and many other organizations. But we need those funds to be specifically dedicated to people that have gone through the struggle, and people that understand the specificities of African Canadians. And I think the Rwandan Canadian Healing Centre fills that gap and fills that important platform that now, from the AfriCanadian Resource Centre, we're now going to have a physical space that can continue doing the work, where we can have researchers, we can have creatives, videographers, we can even have social workers and hopefully psychiatrists that are specialized in the mental health of African Canadians, and be able to do even more and more. So I'm really excited what's coming ahead, and looking for what we can be able to do.
Thank you, Moses, for that. And what he's talking about, what Moses is talking about, is something that I'm actually learning as far as when we talk to people in the community who keep asking us, what are the available resources? How are you guys able to do this? How are you able to get the funding? And one of the things I keep repeating is, and this is something I've learned through the training that we're providing this year, is the importance of having the leadership, importance of having a good board of director, or at least an active board of director. And then also to have these documents that are required every year. You want to be able to do financial statements, all of these things when you go and apply for funding that you're asked to have. So I'm saying this to say that a lot of our community, a lot of the individuals that are doing all of the work in the community, who are working so hard, are usually not able to actually keep these records, or at least they don't have organizations. And for those who have organizations, sometimes we don't have these structures in place. And for many African Canadians, what we've found over the last 3 years and working with some of the leaders of the African Canadians in the Toronto area, there is a lot of people that are doing hard work. But when they go look for funds, they are not able to be, they don't have the requirements to get the funding that is required. Even for us as an organization, but so I was going to say for us as an organization, we don't get everything we ask for, or at least what we apply for. But where we are, I guess, different is we are a new organization. We are still sort of learning these measures. We're still learning how to operate. But with the level, or at least the amount of time we've been operating, we have really been lucky, and we are honored to have been able to get to this level and get access to these resources. So what we are asking everybody to do is to learn how to actually do these things, and a lot of it we can actually provide. We do have the training, the leadership training that we provide. We've done phase 1. We want to repeat that again. So if you're looking to learn in terms of good governance, community organizing, if you're interested in some of those work, you can go to our website and apply. We're not running the program right now, but once we have enough people and we have the resources, we're going to run that again. We provide the program for free. You simply have to take the commitment and make sure that you can be available for the amount of time. The last one was about, if I can recall, 13 weeks. And we were running it twice a week. And then I think half of the time it was twice a week, and then the other half was once a week. So we really want you to be part of this. If you're learning an organization, if you're interested in running an organization, take the leadership training. It is free from us, but you can also take it from other venues, as long as you learn what is required to actually have an organization that have a good leadership that can actually go into these spaces and access funds. So that's something that is definitely required. Other than that, the other thing we are looking to do that we actually have been doing here in Toronto is bringing together different organizations and creating clusters that can actually access funds together and have a trustee that takes the responsibility. That's another way to do this. But overall, you want to aim towards actually having this structure so you can reach out to the funders individually. That's really the goal. For us, it's a goal for the organizations that we are working with, and that's, like Moses was saying, is the goal for the AfriCanadian Resource Centre. It's just all of us pushing together, moving forward together, and learning this work and how to do it the best together. Anyways, we are going to go for a commercial, and we'll come back with more look back at some of the interviews we did with community leaders.
A coronavirus is a type of virus that can infect the respiratory tract, meaning the nose, mouth, throat, sinuses, or lungs. There are many types of coronaviruses, and most cause only mild illness, such as the common cold. But some coronaviruses can cause severe illness. The most likely way people can become infected is by droplets that contain the virus. These droplets carry the virus into the air and can enter through the nose, mouth, throat, and lungs of a person who is within 6 feet or 2 meters. The virus infects the lungs, causing the lungs to become inflamed. The alveolar sacs have to be healthy for the body to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Infection of the virus causes damage to the cells of the lungs and triggers an inflammatory reaction. Fever may develop. With severe inflammation, inflammatory fluid fills the lungs. This reduces the function of the alveoli, resulting in coughing and difficulty breathing. The oxygen level in the blood may decrease. In some people who become severely ill, other organs may be affected, such as the kidneys or the heart.
Welcome back, and again, we are doing a look back today. We are looking at different interviews that we've had with community leaders here in Toronto, and we really just wanted to sort of show you, because I know some of you are new followers of ours, and we haven't seen some of the work that we've done from day one. We've been running for almost a month now, and so there is a lot of interviews that are available. Some you can find on YouTube and Facebook. But also, we just wanted to show you a little bit of those interviews, and we hope that you can go and check them out on our platforms. We are still looking to have all of this on our website at rchc.ca/resources. But in the meantime, you can find all of these contents online. And then, of course, long term, within the next maybe 3 to 6 months, we will be bringing everything to the AfriCanadian Resource Centre, which is why we're here, which is why we're talking to you. It is because of the funding we received through the Red Cross from the government of Canada that is allowing us to actually accumulate resources and create a platform for everybody to go and learn more about the AfriCanadian community. Before we go to the other interview, I want to touch back to the news. Here, bringing you right home here in Toronto, where it says that Toronto's top doctor says that the city will see more COVID infection in the next few weeks than it did during the past, so during the peak of the first wave of the pandemic in April. And she's warning that things will get worse this winter without the restrictions to control the spread of the virus. Obviously, this is, again, I feel like the last wave that happened, me as an individual didn't even know what was happening. I really closed myself from knowing anything, because most of the time I spent it at home, like anyone else, we were all in lockdown. But this time around, we are experiencing it. We are on the ground. Obviously, one of the reasons why we're even right now finding it difficult to find people is because a lot of the people obviously are taking measures to keep the distance. And so sometimes it's difficult to find people to talk to. But again, we are determined. We're going to come to everyone who can allow us to talk to us. And we are saying, we are taking the measures, so you don't have to worry about us being careless. We are really taking all the measures. We need to make sure that everybody's safe. And so we hope that you don't feel like you should, of course, this is up to you. Be voluntary to see us. We just really want to be bringing everybody to your community, make sure they can see the work that is happening on the location, as opposed to always doing the Zoom calls. But we don't mind doing the Zoom calls as well. We are in COVID after all. Anyways, they're saying that the modeling suggests that if the city's reproductive rates, so rate rises even slightly from 1.2 to 1.25, there could be more than 30,000 new infections over the coming month, with a peak expected sometime in between early March to early May. Man, as I'm saying that, I'm just thinking, do we really have to wait that long to be done with this thing? And it's not even saying it's going to be done, it's going to be the peak. Let's hope that's not the case. Honestly, I'm depressed just looking at this. By the way, sometimes I just read this news for the first time, and yeah, it's ugly. Anyways, it's COVID. We're living it. 2020. I felt like I was skipping some parts of it, and I was just gonna be hearing it from everybody. But no, we're all gonna have to experience the effect of it. And, it is 2020. Anyways. Let's go to our next interview. This is with our very one here in Toronto, Mr. Imanzi, who is a leader in the Rwandan community, heads the Kerry Toronto, but also is involved in the same event that I told you that is happening tomorrow with the FOA, Friends of Africa. Take it away. Amazing. Manzi, I'm going to ask you one last question, and it goes into obviously the future of the community and what Kerry has in store for the community. What is your plan? What is the plan for Kerry, especially on recovery from the COVID that we're going through right now? What is Kerry doing to respond within the community, but also what is that plan for you as an organization to actually have these structures that we're talking about?
Kerry has sort of been operating at a very grassroots level for the last 7 years, and so now we have reached a point in terms of building that capacity where we are being intentional in how we want to strategically plan for these upcoming years. And so part of that entails actually being active and engaged in pursuing funding that is available, and funding that could be supporting different initiatives, whether that's being mentorship, cultural and engagement within the community. Right now, there is the focus, of course, with COVID, and so we are definitely not in the stage of recovery yet with COVID, and it looks like the numbers are still increasing. So the need for us to respond to this crisis is still ongoing, and so we've been fortunate that we have been a part of some applications that have been successful in funding and in response to COVID, and so that's something over the next few months that we're going to be rolling out. So the team has been putting together a great rollout of possible activities that could be practically supporting our young people, and so that's something. And then in terms of looking ahead, really we have a talented pool of leaders, and so my role is just ensuring that this is going to be sustainable, ongoing, for this next year, over next few years, and really building that pipeline. And so I'm incredibly excited to see just the people that have stepped up to this and that are going to be leading the charge in that. And even as we speak in terms of the broader community here, the surrounding community here within the Toronto GTA, definitely excited to see new people stepping up and really wanting to make a difference. And that this is a lot of work in getting involved in grassroots community building, but for me, honestly, it's been the most fulfilling. And I don't do this for any type of gratitude or anything like that, but I've been fulfilled in really seeing the community grow. Yes, it's going to be messy along the way, and it's almost like dealing with a family. Like, no family is perfect, right? And so even within our own media families, but and even within the community, like it's going to be messy. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be learning lessons. But I think the key is to how do we learn from these lessons, and how do we shape a future that could be prosperous, that could be a future in which we could actually be connecting deeper and actually be supporting one another, in many different ways. So this is something which I'm definitely looking forward to, which I'll always be, in support of, whether getting involved in other initiatives on a business side or anything. But for me, any circle, any space that I'm going in, I am always proudly representing, where I come from, and letting people know, say, hey, if you don't know, we have an amazing Canadian community here, and this is why you should get to know them, whether that's in the political sphere, business sphere, community sphere, all of us being ambassadors. So I think that's something which I really encourage a lot of people to do, and just, take this message, everywhere where you go.
Absolutely. And I second you by saying you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. I hope I'm not butchering that quote, but it's pretty much saying we all need to know our roots. We need to represent the communities that we're coming from, wherever we go, whatever we do. And with you, Manzi, you have been incredible from day one, and I hope you continue to have that courage and energy to do this work throughout, whether it's in your entrepreneurship journey, in your leadership journey, and of course at home with your family. So thank you so much, Manzi. I know you gotta go. You had other programs going on tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope to have you on again in the near future. We appreciate your presence. By the way, before you go, where can people find? Yes, that was Imanzi from the Rwandan community here in Toronto. Obviously, he's talking about the work that Katie is doing, and I'm seconding that by saying that there is a lot of work that needs to be done. But at the end of the day, the sacrifice and the day-to-day sacrifice that we put in as individuals is something that we really we do because we love it. We do it because we want to do it. And for him, as somebody who has done it longer than I have, for sure, I really proud of him, and of course, always looking forward to his advice, because a lot of this, the more work you do in the community, the better you become at dealing with community members, but also outside leaders that we need to collaborate with. So incredible to hear from him. And we continue to work together through different things. And one of the things we've noticed, like for example, right now working at the project that we actually have been, we will be announcing shortly, because there is a new project that has been funded for Kerry and in partnership with our organization and other Rwandan community organizations. One of the things we've noticed is the need for more of that, the support, because the work is happening already, but it's always easier to support organizations, individuals, especially when we have to put in our own money. You don't want to always do that if we can actually find a way to get the support from the government. Again, to remind people that non-for-profits are an extension to the government as far as the services that we do, and so it's always easier to have that support in terms of resources, especially when it's funding that you can actually help to get some of the things like equipments, transportation, whatever the need that is available. Anyway, so thank Manzi, thank everybody that have been joining us since what I said that earlier. We started this program on September 14th. We're running almost for a month now, and we just wanted to do a throwback to show you some of the interviews if you're a new follower of ours. The following interview is an interview we did with Fanta, who is also a community leader here in Toronto. She's from the Malian community, but she serves many individuals dealing with the HIV/AIDS, and so we wanted to know how that work, how it is for someone to do this kind of work during COVID, especially knowing that the individuals dealing with HIV/AIDS have an even weaker immune system, which is what this disease have been really thriving on. So anyways, let's hear from Fanta. Yeah, I would imagine for most people who are having any form of sickness, they have to be they have to take extra caution during this time of COVID. But for someone who is living with HIV, knowing how the immune system is really broken down, I can imagine how even the fear, the being afraid just to be affected by this disease. What are the conversations? What are the discussions among you and your people and stakeholders, members and patients? I don't know if you would call them patients. What are the conversations around this the COVID stigma?
The conversation is like how to understand the stigma around any disease, not only COVID, any kind of disease, but the stigma is more HIV than even the COVID, right? So we talk about the stigma by doing virtual conversation, chatting, asking, how are you doing? How do you feel if you meet me on the street and then the person change? How do you feel about it? Do you think if, finger pointing, discrimination, what do you think about that? So we provoke questions there to get feedback and see how people are feeling about this COVID-19. Yes, at the beginning, even myself, when I was walking and then I'm meeting somebody, the person changed the route. Before COVID-19 comes in my mind, okay, what's wrong with this person? That's the first impression that will human being, right? But we tend to get that, no, it's not like changing route because I'm black or changing route because I'm X or Z. It's because something is here to take precaution. You never know. At COVID-19, even now, they don't have vaccines, so they don't even know how to deal with. Sometimes you have your inside internal stigma that can haunt you, more than the external one. We talk about that, we chat about that, our clients, and by doing that, it released them and say, oh yeah, I was feeling that, but now that you are mentioning it and you talk about it, I feel good. So it's not like I'm black, that's why, or it's not because this person think I have COVID because I'm wearing mask. It's not because of that. So people get to understand the sense of it, and then, slowly leave the idea of stigma around COVID-19.
Amazing. My question now is for people who and who are interested in your services, where do they go, and what are the kind of people that you're looking for during this time of COVID? Because I'm assuming that the capacity, the ability to reach out, to be at the office where you can actually accept people hour per hour as you usually do is no longer there. What are the people, what are the people that you're looking for right now? But also, where can they reach out to in order to, because you just mentioned you speak 7 languages. And anybody who speaks that many languages, I'm sure there's so much you can provide. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we have somebody who's healing, we have somebody who speaks Hausa, we have somebody who speaks Fulani, we have somebody who speaks Bambara, we have somebody who speaks Jula. We can name it. And
I can come in and speak Kinyarwanda too, right?
And Kiruranda.
Kinyarwanda or Kirundi.
Each part of our continent, I have somebody who can speak. So this is among staff, and then plus volunteers who gave their time for free for the organization because they believe on the cause and then the work that we are doing. They also speak multiple languages, so we have a huge resources to help out. And then during that COVID-19, you were asking the question like, how are we doing to reach out our clients? We have the database, and then we call them, we ask their need, they will let us know, and we fulfill that. Some of them are okay to come in the office, but using the precaution, hand sanitizer, mask, glove, and then we help them by providing food hamper, and we help them also by providing emergency financial, support, and you can name them. So we cannot meet face to face, but we are doing our work non-stop.
All right, we thank Fanta for that, and of course we always want to make sure that we can get the information so people who are looking for this will know where to go. By the way, this is the resources that we talk about when we talk about building a resource center. It's literally about these kinds of details, these kinds of information, because there is so many people, or at least a lot of Africans who might not know the work, for example, that Fanta and her organizations are doing. Being able to actually access them and putting those informations on our website allows you to go to one place and learn more about it. And then, of course, if you can go to one place and learn about that, you can learn about the rest of the continental African Canadians here in Canada. That's our intention. It is what we aim to do, to bring all of the African Canadian businesses, non-for-profits, individual leaders who have different services into one place. And so you can go there and go wherever you want to go. Simply, we are giving you a space and details, resources, information, and you can also facilitate the communication between different organizations, because that's what the platform is going to do, provide activities and work and services. What are the research and studies and reports? Who are the individuals in those communities that are leading this community? And when we say leaders, sometimes we always think about non-for-profits, but we're also talking about the people who are leading in the business sector, who are leading in the, like for example, law firms. I was having an interview earlier today with our member in Edmonton with the radio. It's called, what is it called? Isoko Radio. And they were asking me these kinds of questions. And I think the idea for us is to connect everybody, and because we have this understanding that when you come to Canada, you have all of these available services, but how do we actually serve each other? How do we work with each other? How do we make sure that we are actually also exchanging goods amongst ourselves. Because I think one of the things we've learned from other communities like the Jewish, the Chinese, the Indian, and other successful communities here in Canada is that there is the level of communication, level of exchange of goods, level of actual connection and networking is so high that, for example, when it comes to money, we know for sure that the money that the exchanges between blacks and Africans happens to be only going through one hand and out within one day. When we look at other communities like the Jewish community, we are looking into teen numbers like 13 up to 17 and 19 times before he leaves those communities. That's because they're working together. That is because they know where each other's businesses are, where each other's services are, and they can actually have the people that understand their culture, their values, serve them. This is not to say that we don't serve other people or we don't get services from other people, but this is to say that we actually need to find out where our people are and get those services as well. And for me, as a person leading mental health and PTSD and trauma organization, the Rwandan Canadian Healing Center, one of the things that I learned growing dealing with my own challenges is that when you are going through these challenges, you know, whether it's depression, anxieties, whatever challenges that are mental, as far as mental challenges are concerned, when you're dealing with the professionals, you want to deal with somebody that understands the challenges that you're going through, the values you've sort of accumulated over time, but also your journey overall. And I think for us as Rwandans, from the Rwandan community, having lived through the genocide against Tutsis, the things that we saw, some of the people, the things that people went through, when you're dealing or when you're talking to a psychiatrist or anyone from that area, as far as understanding what we went through, it's impossible. And this is what we're talking about. How can we actually access doctors, experts, you know, people who are providing advice, mentors that understand the journeys that we have gone through. This is where we are coming from as an organization. This is what we are bringing you, the AfriCanadian Resource Centre, is to actually bring everything in one place, allowing us to actually talk to people that understand where we're coming from, where we're going, who we are. And of course, once we have that, then we can actually communicate with the rest of the Canadian society. We can create the togetherness, the cohesiveness that we need to have as a society. But we cannot do that. I don't believe we can do that if we are not able to actually have a structure as an individual community, as an individual organizations that are doing similar things. That is why we bring you the AfriCanadian Resource Centers, is for individuals to actually be able to access different communities like the ones you saw today, learn about what they do, see if you need their service, and be able to actually connect with them, whether you're connecting them as an expert, whether you're connecting them for service, or whether you just want to partner and collaborate with them overall. This is why we have decided to bring you these. And of course, as you can see, there is a need for this. That is why it's being funded through the government funding, because there is a need for it. There is a need for us to have connection, to have communication, to be able to talk about things like COVID, which is what this is about, being able to cover COVID and letting our members know what is available as far as the resource, but also what is lacking. I was highlighting that to Canada, to the rest of Canadians in terms of whether we need support from them, but also whether there is this kind of space that needs to be filled. That is our goal, and we are so proud and lucky to have been able to launch this project. And of course, during COVID, it's very challenging. But again, we are on it every day. Our team here is doing its best, and we don't want to you know, we want to tap our back for the work we've done, but we will continue to do the best we can to bring you reports from the ground, talking to many members as we can. We want to thank you for having joined us. This is what we did this to do a look back. Tomorrow, we're bringing you FOA, the Friends of Africa, is going to be tomorrow on Friday. And then Saturday, we want to let you know that FOA is going to be running on the Friends of Africa CASA Foundation pages on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and I believe Twitter. So go and check out their pages and make sure to be part of that as well. But in meantime, we thank you and we hope to see you again tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow the program itself will be running a little earlier for CASA, but you will be joining us at 6 p.m. as usual, and we look forward to that. And in the meantime, have a good night.